now with this breaking news alert.
We, the jury, unanimously find Travis J. Reinking for the offense of premeditated first-degree murder guilty.
Then an hour ago, the man accused in the deadly Antioch Waffle House shooting was found guilty on all charges against him.
Almost 4 years ago, Travis Reinking entered the Waffle House, shooting and killing Torian Sanderlin, Joe Perez, Aquila De Silva, and D'Ebony Groves, and injuring several others. News 4's Rebecca Cardenas has followed this trial for us all week.
Rebecca, you were just in the courtroom when the verdict was read. There's a lot of hurting families there and survivors as well. What was their reaction?
Yeah, just from the moment, Marius, that first guilty verdict was read, even though the judge had asked everyone in the gallery not to outwardly express any emotion. I mean, the victim's side, as you can imagine, was completely overcome. You could hear them audibly sobbing, you know, just holding each other, embracing each other. This has been a very long road for them to get to this point. This shooting happened nearly 4 years ago now. And, you know, it was just a similar scene as they came out of the courtroom, these families sobbing uncontrollably. They weren't even able to speak to us until about 10 minutes ago. We saw in the hallway 2 of the victims who survived the shooting embracing each other. Such an emotional sight. Both of these women have been, they're maimed, really. I mean, they still have, they need assistance walking, and just seeing them sort of embracing each other after this incredibly traumatic thing that they went through, and now they have they've gotten to this point, right? They've seen justice. So we just heard from Aquila De Silva's family. Aquila De Silva is one of the 4 victims who lost his life inside the Waffle House. He was there with his brother that night. Both of them were shot, and you know, I've spoken to his mother, Shondell Brooks, many times over the years. This is a woman who has relentlessly fought for justice for her son, not only in this case, but she and her other son who survived the shooting have started a nonprofit. They've become gun control advocates. Here's a little bit of what the family had to say just a few minutes ago. All right, it sounds like we're still working on getting that sound for you. But just, again, really emotional response from them. Shondell Brooks saying that true justice would be having her son still here, but she says this is the closest that they could come for justice. And when asked what she wants to see come out of this sentencing, she says that she would like to see Travis Reinking stay in prison for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole. And speaking of Travis Reinking, really no emotion from him in the courtroom today, which is consistent with what we've seen this entire week. He hasn't shown any kind of emotion except for one moment when he smiled at his parents, but otherwise just
vacant,
consistent,
yeah,
same thing.
like a vacant expression.
Yeah, exactly.
Rebecca Cardenas, thank you very much. We'll try to get that sound turned around as quickly as we possibly can. Again, our team coverage continues now with News 4's Courtney Allen, also down at the courthouse.
Courtney, Travis Reinking is facing more than 50 years in prison for this. So when will we learn his sentence?
Marius, Tracy Reinking was convicted in just the last hour, making a lot of people wonder why everybody's going to be coming back tomorrow. That's because since he was convicted of first-degree murder, his sentencing begins immediately. So tomorrow, the jury is going to be making another decision, whether he faces life without the possibility of parole or with the possibility of parole. We'll hear arguments from attorneys on both sides again, as well as possible victim impact statements. Again, that begins tomorrow at 9 a.m. District Attorney Glenn Funk says that he was not going to be making any comments tonight. He's holding off until sentencing concludes to do any interviews on this case. Marius.
Courtney, thank you so much. And just to recap, if you weren't living here during that time, in April of 2018, Travis Reinking, he entered that Antioch Waffle House shooting and killing 4 people. Several others were hurt. James Shaw Jr. is the man seen in the video right here, tackling Reinking, potentially saving many more lives, stopping that shooting. Reinking ran off and was found after a nearly 34-hour manhunt.
Torian Sanderlin, Joe Perez, Aquila De Silva, and D'Ebony Groves were shot and killed that night. Several others were shot, and to this day, they are living with physical and mental damage. The case captured the country's attention, and Travis Reinking was nowhere to be found for 2 days on the run following that shooting. Ever since that devastating day in 2018, we have talked with victims, their families, experts on this story, and will continue to do so. To see all of our coverage and to understand how we got to this point, you can read it now on our free News 4 app and on WSMV.com.
Our other big